I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh, Lamar is for real. Let's step into the huddle.
You're listening to the PreSnap Podcast, brought to you by LineStar app, the top-rated DFS tool set and #1 companion for DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo Daily Fantasy. Go LineStar Premium now at LineStarApp.com. Now here are your hosts, fantasy football experts Joe Pisapia and Scott Bogman.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and welcome to the PreSnap right here on the LineStar app. It is me, it is Scott Bogman, and it's you, and we're recapping the wild and wacky wild card six-pack of games and looking ahead to next week's divisional playoff round in the NFL. Scott Bogman, we hit on a lot of good things. I played that full Sunday slate, and I had all three Pittsburgh wide receivers. If only I had Big Ben too. But I got greedy, and I wanted a little bit more rushing. But look, you know, at the end of the day, we were kind of spot on with our QB picks. We'll recap the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we'll start to hot take some of the games as we look ahead. And we will be here, obviously, ready for DFS the following on Thursday here this week. And, of course, on Friday, we'll have the wagering show. But, Boggs, I know for you, it's been it's been interesting 48 hours or so. I feel like just looking at you now, you're in a better place. I think you are, although now you're looking at me like you want to kill me because you, yeah, good.
Not your fault.
Not your fault. It's not your fault. All right. Okay. All right, Robin Williams. All right. So
we're on to 2021, Joe. That's what I'd have to say about the Steelers. So
yeah, you know. I know. And look, you know, we already talked about it on the Black Book Pod, but you know, we'll touch on it here. But let's start with the good things. Let's do the good things, and let's start here with the Indianapolis game in Buffalo, because when does Stephon Diggs get guarded? I mean, every week I feel like we look up and it's like 6 for 128 and a touchdown, 9 for 90 and 2 touchdowns. Like, is it just me, or does anybody else feel like maybe it's time to start game planning for Stephon Diggs and see if you could take him away? And not to say that Josh Allen can't beat you with the other guys, but geez, Boggs, like, is Stephon Diggs just like running the muck this year or what?
Yeah, I mean, Buffalo has done a great job of setting him up to succeed as well. And that's exactly what he was not getting in Minnesota, which, you know, when he started his kind of panic and all that stuff, and his trend towards leaving Minnesota, I think a lot of people kind of rolled their eyes and went, this is typical wide receiver stuff. Turns out Stephon Diggs was right. Minnesota was not using him to the best of their abilities or his.
You know
abilities.
what? You're right. Retrospect, he wasn't being used properly.
Yeah, and Buffalo has done a great job of doing that. So he's going to be dangerous no matter who he's going up against. He's got a tough one in Marlon Humphrey this week too. So, but Marlon Humphrey has so many tackles, you know, and that means that guys in front of him are getting the ball and he's making the tackle. You know, doesn't mean that Marlon Humphrey's bad. He allows a lot of short catches and all that kind of stuff. But I think Diggs is going to have success with this week too. So, you know, you can double him up, you can guard him, but some guys, as proven in the national championship last night, are just too good to guard, right?
Oh my God. Jeez. That's a whole other can of worms. We'll get to that as we get to like previews and stuff. But look, Josh Allen, 324, 2 touchdowns for him. He played great. There was that one moment towards the end that we all saw Josh Allen of 2018 and 19, where he ran back 30 yards trying to make a play in a spot where you should not be trying to make a play. You just eat a sack sometimes or throw a ball away, but then he fumbled the ball and he went, oh God, here we go again. But they hung on 27-24. Phillip Rivers did a really nice job too of utilizing the tight ends in this game, which I thought was great, because you know the corners, Tre'Davious White and all the guys, that like they did a great job of shutting down the wide receivers for the most part. A couple, you know, spots where they had some good catches, but
Hilton only had 2 for 32, so great.
Yeah, well, they took TYL
him down,
and you know, they said beat us over the middle of the field, and you know what? I mean, he did everything he could with Doyle. It was a great game for him. Jonathan Taylor, 21 for 78 and a touchdown. There's no doubt in my mind, I don't know about you, that Taylor is a bell cow RB1. I don't care if Hines had a couple big runs in this game.
Yeah,
Taylor's
we're trending in the right direction. That's 23 touches for him in this game to 7 for Hines. So that's exactly what we wanted to see the whole year, and we finally got it in the playoffs. But yeah, just to go back to Josh Allen for a second, he's going to have to run more. Zach Moss done for the year with this ankle injury, which is not good for Zach Moss either, because he came into the NFL with injury issues out of Utah. So not a good sign. Hopefully this is going to be, something where he would miss a month, and that's pretty much the whole season at this point. So, and he'll be back on time for everything next year, but not a good sign. But Josh Allen should have to run a little bit more, and Singletary becomes more valuable too.
Yeah. Look, I'm I'm hoping that this Josh Allen continues to be the Josh Allen. Like, I don't want to see him revert into the other guy, because that's, even if it was just a moment, like, you can't have that guy show up in the division round against the Ravens. Like, not that the Colts are any slouch or anything like that, but you can't have that happen. You got to make sure that you are, going in the right direction with all of that. So look, it was a great game for him. I thought the Colts played admirably. Do you think that they should bring back Phillip Rivers next year? Because I do, because I feel like there's so many different quarterbacks shuffle going on with all these teams looking for quarterbacks and drafting quarterbacks and moving quarterbacks, that it seems like the best thing to do is keep some continuity. You're 11-5. I mean, you made the playoffs. So you would stick with that, right?
Yeah, I think you have to. And I'm not the biggest advocate for Phillip Rivers. I don't know that they lose a ton going to Jacoby Brissett, but they do lose going to Jacoby Brissett. So I think right now you got to stick with your guns and you got to go with Rivers. And I think he wants to dance one more time.
I love dancing. Are you a dancer?
No, absolutely not. No,
I'm
a funny guy, Joe. Funny guys don't dance.
I'm the funny guy. I'm the funny guy. All right. There's nothing funny about this Rams Seahawks game. I hated this game. Ugh, gross. I did. I mean, it was great to see Cam Akers go off 28.
You have some I don't even know what to call it, but
I have a streak now of 12 straight games where I've picked the Rams wrong. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, there's just this predisposition to hate the Rams. So anytime
that's
see
why
the Rams,
because I can't figure them out. I can't. Yeah. I can't. No matter what I do, figure them out, and that's the problem.
The good news is no, neither can anybody else, even the Rams. So that's good news.
Yeah. Look, I'm gonna put this gently here, but really not. If Jared Goff was the emergency quarterback and he can come in and still throw for 150 yards or whatever he did, where is Jared Goff starting this game? Like, you're the captain. You're the guy getting all the money. You're the quarterback. You're the guy. So it's either he really, really, really was, in a very painful place, or Sean McVay is looking at the turnovers, or Sean McVay is just worried about Jared Goff, and he just wants to run the football and play defense and try to get through this playoff series. And he might be right doing that. So which do you think it is? Because, I mean, if you're Jared Goff, you got to be pounding the table saying, I want to play. I don't care. I mean, that's what the greats do. And I know Jared Goff's not a great, but you got to aspire to be great, for God's sakes.
I mean, he's already been in a Super Bowl once, so we know he can be really good. Gotta win one, I think, to be great, or put up Hall of Fame numbers. He doesn't have either one of those yet. So I don't know, like that, and that's a cop out answer, but it's the honest answer. I have no idea what they were thinking by not playing this guy. We heard it before the game. He was throwing the ball 60 yards down the field, and his grip was fine. So I don't know why he wasn't starting. I suggested this on the Black Book too, Joe. Maybe it's the opposite of, we think, clearly McVay doesn't like him. Maybe he likes him so much he doesn't want to get him hurt, in a playoff game that they were projected to lose and all that stuff. So I don't know. I don't have somebody
so much that they don't want to see them play the hero and win.
But he's good now. Like
that's like when a girl tells you, I like you so much that I can't be with you anymore. Like,
right. Yeah.
Come on.
We've all heard that one, right, Joe? So, yeah.
I like you so much and we should never see each other again. That's
right. Yeah. No, but I tend to agree with them when they say that to me. So, you're right. And we never will. But yeah, man, I mean, look, this offense is running through Cam Akers now. So
right. No, it is. No, okay. Here we put you on the spot because Cam Akers had a couple injury issues this year already too. Cam Akers or Jonathan Taylor next year? Who would you rather have on your fantasy
Jonathan
team?
Taylor. And it's not very close to me, but it's because they had that offense. The philosophy of the Colts is run the ball and play good defense. You have to pass the ball in today's NFL, so they do. And T.Y. Hilton, what was great at in the second half of the year. I think he's going to come into next year healthy. Pittman gets an actual real offseason and all that good stuff. And Taylor gets a full offseason. So I think this offense is going to click better. They lost Costanzo. He retired, but they'll replace him on the offensive line. That line is still good. It's still run first. the Rams are a bit of a chameleon. They can run the ball, which is what they've been doing right now. Obviously, Jared Goff can get into a good rhythm and throw for 300 yards multiple weeks in a row. We've seen that before when the Rams and Chiefs were going at it. So they differ a little bit. I think you're running your offense through Jonathan Taylor in Indy. So that's what they're doing right now in LA. And maybe they'll want to do that. We've seen, McVay offense put up Todd Gurley huge numbers as far as fantasy goes. But right now, I would go with Jonathan Taylor.
DK Metcalf had 5 catches for 96 and 2 touchdowns. Russell Wilson, just 174 yards passing. So luckily we stayed away. We tried to stay away from this game, and Akers was that one big spot that did pay off. But I mean, when the Seahawks defense had played, who'd have thought that would be, such an enormous game, but it was really just the volume. And maybe we should have been on that a little bit more in retrospect. The 28 carries. I mean, you're not going to see that number from him next year, probably ever again. But where's the Seahawks right now? Because to me, the answer is going to get a running back of some kind of note. And I think Leonard Fournette is the perfect guy to drop in there.
Yeah. I mean, I love Fournette too. I think he would be a great fit here. I kind of hope it doesn't happen though, because they use multiple backs. It's just what they do. And who's to say that they don't like Carlos Hyde and Carson, and Penny barely played this year, and they spent a first-round pick on him.
No more Penny.
Look,
no, I'm not going to go to 2021. Where's Christian Michael? Well, no,
I agree with you on your Rashad Penny call. I don't think he should have been a first-round pick either, but they did invest a first-round pick on him. They still do like him, but the dude, recovered from his hip surgery, got put on the PUP. We all forgot about him. I think he played week 12 or week 11 and immediately got hurt again. So maybe it's time to be done with Penny. I hope you're right. But we'll see. I mean, that's kind of what we have to say. We know what it is. It's Russell Wilson should be throwing a little bit more with Metcalf and Lockett. But Pete Carroll said, kind of out of frustration, we need to get back to running the ball next year. So if they're going to do that, getting a bell cow in a guy like Fournette who can still do it, we saw that this weekend, then I'd be very happy I'd be happy if they got Fournette, but I think Carson needs to be gone for him to have all kinds of success. And I don't know that that's happening.
All right, let's talk about Washington and Bucks. Mike Evans, 6 catches for 119, spread the ball around. AB had a touchdown. Godwin looked very good. All these guys are a little banged up, but Fournette, 19 carries, 93 to touchdown. Tom Brady, 381, 2 scores. He threw 4, and Taylor Heineke played as good as you could possibly ask him to play.
How about my Cam Sims call, by the way?
And the Cam Sims, I was just going to get to that next. The Cam Sims, exactly where you wanted it to be. Look, at that time of recording, we were still thinking Alex Smith was going to be able to play. So, it's always one of those things. So if you ever have questions, just hit us up on Twitter if there's changes that happen. I know some of you do already, but always hit us up at Bogman Sports, at Joe Pizapia 17. We're always happy to jump in there and help everyone. But look, at the end of the day, Washington had a very admirable season. I know they're 7-9, but you know what? This is a 7-9 I think, on the upswing. You drop a good quarterback in there next year, maybe 1 or 2 other pieces. I think with Gibson and McKissick and McLaurin, you could really make something here with that D. But the Bucs just had too much personnel at the end of the day. That's the story of this game for me.
Yeah, I mean, it was just getting torched on offense and not on defense for Washington, which is not the story of them this year. But, I mean, Brady really picked them apart. He didn't have a great completion percentage, but Evans got open when he needed to, made big first downs. Brate was involved. You talked about the AB touchdown. Godwin looks healthy now. It was just a little bit too much for Washington. They couldn't keep pace with a really third, fourth string, because it went from, Haskins to Kyle Allen to Alex Smith, back to Haskins, back to Alex Smith, then to Taylor Heineke. So many people involved here. It really was a mess at the quarterback position. They still played really well. So, like you said, very, very admirable. Couple pieces away, but Tampa Bay's dangerous, and AB is really starting to peak with Tom Brady. I hate to see it, being a Steelers fan. But,
look, I mean, they were great together last year. So, that was the guy he wanted, and he knew it was his kind of guy because he's a guy that can go over the middle too and catch the football still. And, and I'll tell you what, healthy Godwin and AB next year, if they can keep this band together next year healthy, which is questionable, but still that would be something. All right. The big total of the week was a complete letdown. Just 33 points in the Ravens-Titans game. Ravens D played incredibly well. They stifled Derrick Henry. Lamar Jackson had 136 rushing yards and a TD, threw for 179. Marquise Brown had 7 receptions for 109. Look, this is becoming quite a rivalry, which I love because I feel like rivalries are dead in sports, and these teams hate each other, and that's good. That's good television. I want to see this all the time. And the Ravens, of course, move on, and Lamar gets the monkey off his back and gets that first playoff victory, which, if he lost this game, everybody would be talking about Lamar can't be quarterback. You can't, which is all nonsense because the only reason you're there is because of Lamar and how he played the last 6 weeks. Yes, the defense is good, but Lamar's put this team on his shoulders. Give this guy a possession wide receiver. And please, for the love of God, don't allow him to go back into this year with the same group of, Marquise Brown is the best guy you could throw to. No. You need more. Titans, Ravens, your thoughts?
I mean, look, the Ravens are good, and they've done this while rebuilding too. I mean, to go from Flacco to Lamar, Flacco, say what you will about him. I do not like him at all, or his crappy attitude towards Lamar on his way out, but he won a Super Bowl there. And he had them in the playoffs a bunch. So he was not a franchise quarterback, but a good enough quarterback to win a Super Bowl. To go from him to Lamar Jackson in no time and rebuild this defense too with draft picks. It's just kind of incredible what they've done. I did just black out there for a second, Joe. I feel like Will Ferrell when he was making his argument in the old school, complimenting the Ravens. But I mean, Dobbins is their guy now, even though, he only ran 9 times to 8 for Gus Edwards. He is the guy. And Malcolm Brown is Marquise Brown has become.
It's been a long season, everybody. Look, we're tired, but we refuse to give in. We're here Hollywood. Anyway every week.
Right. Hollywood is improving. And I don't know if everyone's going to notice it at the end of the year unless the Ravens make a deep playoff run here. But 7 catches, he's getting more and more targets. Him and Lamar, Marquise wasn't 100% last year. He and Lamar are really creating this connection right now. So he has been very, very impressive. Unbelievably disappointing, like you said, from the Titans side. I mean, Tannehill did nothing. Derrick Henry averaged just over 2 yards per rush. It was not a great game. They didn't click on offense. Everyone outside of A.J. Brown was completely disappointing. A.J. Brown was 50% of Ryan Tannehill's passing yards. He got 83 of the 165.
You're right. So you're 100% right.
Yeah, and Davis got hurt. It was just it wasn't Tennessee's year.
No, it wasn't. Look, again, the lack of pass rush, is. It's the difference between them last year and this year. And if they can fix that this offseason, which I think is something you can fix and address in the draft without a doubt, then or even free agency, the Clowney thing didn't really work out. And, fix up the pass rush, get the kicking game back online. And I think Tennessee will be right back competing again for that division and be a playoff team next year too. They have a lot of talent on offense. Just got to fix some of the defense situation a little bit. Saints, Bears, this was boring too. Thank God it was that Nickelodeon game, so we got some slime or something. But 265 for Breeze and 2 scores. Alvin Kamara had 99 yards rushing, a touchdown. Michael Thomas's first touchdown of the season in the postseason. Gross. And look, to me, this is, 21-9 was the final, but to me, Buggs, this was all about that one moment with Wims back to back. He makes that great catch on the sideline. Then the next play, they run that trick play where Trubisky's out to the side. He comes back in, throws the football. The guy's wide open right through his hands. And you go, how are you a professional wide receiver? How do you miss that moment in the game? You know it's coming to you. You just had a big catch. You're feeling it. I don't understand. Like, I just, how do you not be sure that you come down with that ball? It's just crazy to me. And it was a good throw. And that was it. The air went out of the bubble and the Bears had no chance after that.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. All the momentum was lost on that because Trubisky's never had a better throw in his career. It was perfect. It was over the defender. It was dropped in the bucket, had perfect touch on it, and Wims just flat out dropped it. And that was really, in a game this low scoring and the Saints defense playing as well as they were, stifling David Montgomery. He only averaged 2.6 yards per carry. He didn't catch one ball. So they did a great job against him. I mean, 6 for 55 might be Allen Robinson's worst game of the entire season.
I know, right? Yeah.
He was so good
for the Bears at this rate.
Yeah, he was so good this year. To see him fail at the end was tough to watch too. But the Saints weren't crazy impressive. I mean, they did enough to beat Chicago. But if they show up against Tampa Bay with this same outlook and the same, short passes and run the ball and play good defense, they're going to get smoked by Tampa Bay. I hope it doesn't happen. Would really like to not see Brady win another one or AB win one at all. So I'm going to be a huge.
Save it for the hot takes, because I might have a hot take on that one too.
I'm a huge Saints fan this week, but I was.
They're
going to be able to throw the ball, but are they going to push it? Are they going to push it downfield?
You got to save it. You give it away all the hot takes. No, nothing will be hot. All right. Here we go. Steelers and Browns, 48-37. This is what, the fifth highest scoring wild card game of all time.
Most completions in an NFL game ever.
Completions in an NFL game. Also, the most points scored in the first quarter of a playoff game, 28. So obviously, this is, I keep going back to this first moment of the game. The ball goes a bad snap from Pouncey, who's had a bad year, over Roethlisberger's head. He's looking at Connor. Connor's looking at him. Nobody's taking responsibility. Instead of kicking the ball out for a safety, you end up with a 6 the other way. And, the Steelers were playing catch up ever since. Juju had 13 catches for 157 and a touchdown. Claypool had a few scores. Deontay Johnson had his catches. Roethlisberger threw for 501 yards and 4 scores. And Nick Chubb did what Nick Chubb does, 18 carries for 76. But Kareem Hunt was running strong and angry in this game too. The Browns were ready. The Browns were hungry. The Browns were it was us against the world. And it's tough to beat a team 3 times in a season. I mean, it's just a fact. And the Browns had nothing to lose, and the Steelers had everything to lose. And the Browns, to me, the more perspective we have now after a whole, 48 hours or so, to me, it's more, at this point, it looks to me like, the Browns were just fast and loose, and the Steelers were tight, and they knew all the pressure was on them, and the Browns knew it, and they took advantage of it.
Well, the bottom line is you turn the ball over 4 times and you're not going to win.
But if you throw the ball 68 times, you're not going to win. And Pittsburgh is dead last in the league in rush yards. Dead last. They have 1,351 as a team. That is absurd for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That is absurd for them.
It's the lowest total, I think, in 50 years. So
it's crazy. Derrick Henry had 2,000 by himself.
Derrick Henry had more yards after contact than the Steelers had rushing. So these are bad stats, guys. And Pittsburgh's offense was one-dimensional. It made easy passing lanes, 4 picks, balls tipped at the line. Roethlisberger led the league in that as well, staring down receivers a little bit. Also, you throw the ball too many times, you give more opportunities to have that ball tipped. So couldn't run the ball at all. I mean, another game where Connor had 37 yards, an average 3.4 yards per carry. And Ben had to throw the ball 68 times in this game to try to play catch up, and it didn't work. And, Baker had 3 touchdowns, but his 3 touchdowns, the one to Hooper was a great throw. And he had another one to Hooper that hit him right in the face and he dropped. But he threw a screen pass to Landry, who juked 2 guys and took it in. He threw a screen pass to Chubb, who took it in as well. This is exactly what you want if you're Cleveland. You don't want Baker to have to make throws late for you or make tough throws. You want him to be able to hand the ball to Chubb and Hunt and then make short passes and have your playmakers do stuff with it. Everything worked for Cleveland. Nothing worked for Pittsburgh. It was, 11 weeks of bad luck all in 1 week coming out here to flush them down the toilet. And, Cleveland's going to have a tough one. They can do it against Kansas City. I said before, I can't complimenting the Ravens and the Browns in this podcast. And
I know this has been a really tough few days for Bogman. Everybody, please send him something. Send him an edible arrangement, either the edible kind or the fruit kind. It doesn't matter. Send him something, because it's been a tough couple of days. He's had to say nice things. He's rooting for Tom Brady. The Steelers are out of the playoffs thanks to the Browns.
We've and I said it before. I don't think Baker Mayfield is a great quarterback. He's a good quarterback, but I don't know that he's much above that line of minimum that you want in the NFL, but he can go on a streak. We've seen him do it before. So if he does it in the playoffs and the Browns beat the Chiefs, I won't be shocked. I'll be surprised, but I won't be like, this is out of the realm of possibility. That's what people thought against Pittsburgh. And I knew that Pittsburgh could lose this game easily, and they did. So, just Pittsburgh going out on a low note, seems like Ben is going to come back next year. Pouncey already said he's done.
Really?
I
I didn't even catch that. Like, he's
yeah,
done.
yeah. I mean, he hasn't officially filed papers, but he's leaning that way. I think Ben's going to try to talk him out of it because they're good buddies and all that stuff. But I'm quietly over here hoping, like, let's draft a center in the first round and let Pouncey go. I've had enough. So
No, I can understand that. All right, let's move on here. Let's do the hot takes and let's look ahead at the games. We've got the Colts and Bills, obviously. I'm sorry, that was Colts and Bills for last week. My bad. We've got the Bills and Ravens, which look, that is the game that I've got my attention on because to me, those were the two teams that had the most juice going into the playoffs. So for me, that's what I want to see. I want to see, the teams that are the hottest. I'd like to see them in the championship game, but alas, here we are. So the question for me is, can the Baltimore Ravens do enough to slow down what Josh Allen's been doing? And are the Buffalo Bills going to be able to at least contain Lamar Jackson? Now, the good news is if, the secondary of the Bills hits hard, is not afraid to tackle, they're aggressive. There's some secondaries, and you know this, and I know this, some corners who hate to tackle, some safeties,
Ohio State.
Ohio State. We've seen it over the year. I mean, Deion Sanders, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Hey, Deion didn't want to tackle anybody, but not the Bills. No, not Poyer and Hyde and those guys. They like to come at you. So to me, like, that's a story. Like, he gets out there in space, they are going to go get him. I still think that the Bills are going to pull this out because I think they're a more complete football team. But if the Ravens can drag them down to their level, who's to say they can't grind out another victory here on the road? I think it's gonna be tough, but that I think also. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do you think a little air went out of the balloon a little bit? Like you beat the Titans, you hated the Titans, you stomped on their thing because they stomped on your thing, blah blah blah, and you won your first playoff game. I'm concerned about a letdown. That's my big concern.
I understand that, but I think there was a bigger letdown with Buffalo letting the Colts play close to them at home. I thought that
a letdown. Like, is that like, oh my gosh, we really got to keep it tight here?
The Colts had a shot at the end. I think that's a letdown. If they scored late to pull it within 3 and blah blah blah, then I'd say okay, more of a letdown. But the Colts had a shot to take that game, and I think that's a little bit of a letdown. This game, there's a reason why the line right now is only Buffalo by 2 as the home team. This is going to be a hotly contested game, but I do see this going one way or the other. I don't see this. I don't know who it's going to be right now, and I don't know who I'm going to pick. I'm going to have to dive a little deeper here, but I do think this is going to be a one way or the other. I think Buffalo is either going to be able to stop Lamar, and you stop Lamar, and you stop Baltimore overall, or it's going to be Buffalo is getting run over right now by Baltimore, and Baltimore wins this game going away. I'm kind of leaning more towards that, to be honest, at this point. So this is going to be a good one for sure. I hope it's a tight one, but I kind of see it going other way. I think Baltimore is going to win this game.
All right, I'm probably going to be on the Bills side, but we got a couple days to think more about this. Rams and Packers, look, if you're telling me Jared Goff is that hurt that he's sitting behind John Wolford, how the hell are you going to go into Green Bay and win when they're off a bye and Aaron Donald has a torn cartilage in his rib cage? Like, I know Ramsey's been great and Donald's all world, and they both had fantastic seasons, but I'm pretty sure this is the end of the Rams here. Mercifully, please, for the love of God, can this please be the end of the Rams? But I think the Packers win this one going away. But look, you never know. Sometimes they can come out flat. I get that. The Rams are another underdog in this game, and they know it. But I just think there was so much familiarity with Seattle. They were able to grind out a victory because they were so familiar. I mean that interception that they ran back for a touchdown on Russell Wilson, you mentioned it on Black Book too. You know exactly what they're going to run. And then, it's easier to jump the routes and get on there. It's going to be a little harder. There's not as much familiarity with the Packers. And I think the Packers are going to take care of their business here. And fresh off a bye, I expect them to at 13-3. And they've played much better football going into the playoffs this year than last year.
I think I'd be more surprised with the Rams beating the Packers than I would be if the Browns beat the Chiefs. I think that's kind of where I'm at on the Rams. They've been so beat a dead horse here. They've been so Jekyll or Hyde up and down. It's hard to pick them from week to week, but I think the Packers are too dominant. They're rested. They're roaring and ready to go. hosting a playoff game. They got the number 1 seed. The NFC goes through Green Bay, and that's exactly what you want in Green Bay. So I think this is the easiest call of the week to me. I think the Packers win this game, and I think they beat the spread too.
All right, let's move on to Sunday's games. You got the Chiefs and Browns, and surely off the bye, you would also expect the Chiefs to be able to take care of their business. They're 14-2, the Browns 11-5. Kareem Hunt certainly has got a lot to say. He's looking for some revenge, but I got to tell you, my initial instinct is the Browns to cover, just because Kansas City isn't blowing people away, and they keep letting teams kind of come back into games, and that defense is not playing the way it was last year. I feel like the Browns, again, house money, dangerous. Nobody expects us to be here. We lose. We win, we shock the world, and I think that makes them dangerous. Now, I think Mahomes and company will win, but I think this one's going to be closer than people think.
Yeah, I don't. I think this is going to be Tyreek Hill just torching the Browns. If they can get some of those guys back, Denzel Ward can come back. That's going to be huge. I just don't know if he's expected to miss this week as well. They did a great job last week. I think this is where, a team that hasn't been in the playoffs for 18 seasons, they get their first win since 1994 or whatever. I think this is where, they celebrated and they get beat. I'm not Chase Claypool over here. I'm not sitting here telling you that they're definitely going to get smoked, so it doesn't matter or any of that stuff. But I don't realistically see a way that the Chiefs that the Chiefs lose this game. But the Browns formula would be run the ball as much as you can, keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands, and force turnovers. So they did it to Pittsburgh. If they can do it to Kansas City, they can win this game. But I just don't see it happening. I got Kansas City pretty easy.
All right. And last but certainly not least, 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, 2 of the top 5 to ever play the position, squaring off, which could be Drew Brees' last game if things don't go right. I understand the Saints have just handed it to the Bucs, and I think the Bucs recognize that too. However, I got to say, coming into this game, you've got that Tom Brady thing. He knows he's been embarrassed twice now by the Saints. First week of the season, and then obviously at home getting torched by the Saints. I don't know. I think you're going to see a different Tampa Bay team, and early right now, my feeling is that I think that Tom Brady's got all these weapons clicking now, and he kind of has a little bit more confidence. And I like this team a little bit more when Fournette's running the football than Ronald Jones. It's just me, a little bit more physical guy. So I don't know, man. Like I hate to see the Saints kind of go out like this, because every year seems to be disappointing, but I was not impressed with them last week against the Bears. Like they should have handled the Bears, wipe the floor with them, and they did not.
There's no fire here, it seems. Like
that's it. Brady's got fire. They're ready to go. Like they're into it.
Yeah, and everyone's talking about how Breeze is definitely retiring after this year and all that stuff. That's more the talk. That's more the talk going in a game that they were expected to win. I think this game is a coin flip. I know that the Saints have embarrassed Brady. They're at home and all that stuff, but it's not the same. They don't have the dome advantage, and there's going to be nobody in there. So I think I just don't see how Tampa Bay loses this game. And I know that's kind of, they were the hottest team in the NFL going into the last game that they played against New Orleans, and they got smoked. I get that. But look, I've seen the Steelers beat Brady in the regular season and then get absolutely hammered by him in the playoffs. That has been the story of Tom Brady versus my Steelers for a long time. So I'm not going to be surprised when it happens against the Saints. I've got Tampa Bay, and that offense right now is clicking on all cylinders. They just aren't in New Orleans. So you win with turnovers, though. You make Brady turn the ball over, you can absolutely take this game. And they're at home. Defense played well against Chicago, but Mitch Trubisky versus Tom Brady there's a big difference there.
You think? A little bit. All right, we're going to have some more time to think about this stuff, and we'll take you through the 4 games coming up this weekend. Some really marquee matchups. Should be very fun. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter at LineStar app, at LineStar NFL. Go get that LineStar app and upgrade to the premium product. We got baseball right around the corner. Any day now, we're going to have spring training, and before you know it, the On Deck show will be back as well with me and Bubba, and we'll be rocking and rolling on that. In the meantime, it's more football, and you can hit us up at Twitter at JoePizapia17 and at Bogman Sports. That'll do it for us. There's nothing left to do now except tune Sit.
You've been listening to the PreSnap Podcast brought to you by LineStar. Hit subscribe, drop a review, tell a friend, and stay tuned for the next episode from fantasy football experts Joe Pisapia and Scott Bogman.